A question that a lot of people are asking after the announcement of Mega Evolutions for the 3 Hoenn starter Pokemon's final evolutions is, will every other starter Pokemon from every other region receive a Mega Evolution in Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire? And seeing as how Kanto starter Pokemon and Hoenn starter Pokemon all have Mega Evolutions, people would like to see the others receive one in the name of balance. Today I'm going to be discussing whether or not the starter Pokemon of every other region has a possibility of receiving a Mega Evolution, with concept artwork of what they could potentially look like appearing on screen, as well as potential improvements for the more likely starters. And with that being said, we're going to start with the least likeliest, and in the comments below, let me know which starter Pokemon you want to see receive a Mega Evolution. Anyways, let's begin the speculation. We're going to begin with the Generation 6 starter Pokemon's final evolutions, Chestnut, Delphox and Greninja, the most recently introduced starter Pokemon, and as I said, this video is going to start with the Pokemon I believe that are the least likeliest to receive Mega Evolutions in Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, or any future Pokemon games at this moment in time. This may be unpopular, especially if they're your favourite starters. However, no Generation 6 Pokemon other than Diancie has a Mega Evolution, where Mega Diancie will be available in Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and seeing them buck this trend and giving the starters Mega Evolutions after the game they were set in a region they originate from being released a year previously would just be silly to me. Surely their Mega Evolution stones would be available in their region of origin, especially if they were introduced in Kalos. With these reasons being my evidence, it's highly unlikely that Chestnut, Delphox and Greninja will be given Mega Evolutions in Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. The possibility of them receiving one in the future remains, but not this year. Next up I'm going to group together two sets of starter Pokemon, the final evolutions of the Unova trio, Sapphire, Emboar and Samurott, and the Sinnoh trio, Torterra, Infernape and Empoleon, as I think that these two starter evolution lines are just as likely, or should I say unlikely, to receive Mega Evolutions in Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. If I was to go out on a limb, however, I would say that the Sinnoh starter trio actually have a fair chance of receiving Mega Evolutions, and I'll explain why. In Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, starter Pokemon from the region before and after Johto were featured, and if that trend continues, that would hypothetically mean you could receive Sinnoh starter Pokemon in Hoenn, and it would just make sense to me that they'd feature with a Mega Evolution Stone too. However, the Sinnoh starters really bear no real significance to Hoenn, just like the Unova starters, and the likelihood of them seeing Mega Evolutions in a region where they hold no real significance just, I don't know, doesn't make sense to me. However, I do believe that we will see Sinnoh and Unova starters in these games, as well as Johto starters, which I'll get into in just a sec, as it would mean you wouldn't have to transport any starter Pokemon upward with the Pokemon Transporter. They'd all be available in Generation 6. Just a small note however, I'll briefly go into what improvements these Pokemon could undertake if given Mega Evolutions. Torterra would gain sharp increases to its physical stats, whereas Empoleon would receive a sharp increase to its special stats, and Infernape would be given increases to its offenses as well as speed to make it a big hitter and maybe a bit of a glass cannon. Sapphire would likely receive buffs to its defenses and potentially speed, and Emboar and Samurott would have their buffs divided into their offenses. Finally, you guessed it, it's going to be the Johto starter Pokemon, Meganium, Typhlosion and Feraligatr. Bit of a backstory, in Pokemon Emerald, Chikorita, Cyndaquil and Toadstool actually made an appearance in the aftergame once he completed the National Pokedex, and if the objective to receive one of these starter Pokemon was exactly the same as that in Emerald, then this reward would definitely be open to more people due to the ease of the use of GTS in more modern games. The Johto starter trio seems to be a perfect candidate to receive Mega Evolutions to me. They've already played a part in Hoenn before. It would give you an incentive to actually complete the National Dex. You'd only be able to receive one Johto starter Megastone per game, which would create a bigger emphasis on trading with friends, and this would also mean the first 3 generation starter Pokemon would all have Mega Evolutions. I'm sure there are reasons against these Pokemon receiving Mega Evolutions. However, instead, I'll go into potential buffs for these Pokemon that they could receive. A Mega Meganium, which by the way sounds amazing, would receive a boost to its defenses to perhaps make it a little bit more viable as a tank. A Mega Typhlosion would receive heightened special attack and speed, and potentially an added typing. However, I'm not totally on board with that idea. And a Mega Feraligatr would potentially receive an increase to its physical stats and maybe speed, depending on the direction they took with its design, as well as also an added typing. I love the Johto starter Pokemon. and seeing them receive Mega Evolutions would be amazing, and I hope that you agree with my reasoning. So, with all this being said, I hope that you agree with what I had to say, and in the comments below, let me know which starter Pokemon you want to receive a Mega Evolution, and 300 likes would be really appreciated for another news and speculation video tomorrow. Feel free to subscribe so you don't miss any more of my Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire pre-release coverage videos. And until tomorrow, thank you so much for watching. My name is Petey Winnell. Peace out.